Hey, Nerf Herders, I'm Addy Thomas.
And I am Ben Milton.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Certain Point of View News and Reviews. It is, we are like 180 episodes in, and Ben and I kind of we got new mics, and we got our EQ settings, our sound settings, basically to where we finally kind of liked them.
Yeah, I think there'll be a little more tweaking over the next couple episodes.
Yeah,
but
and that's natural.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you so much to our Patreon subscribers who help fund this show and keep the show running. Like, it does have operational costs. It's a podcast. It's not like we're running out of a radio station and have electricity to pay and stuff like that. But there is hosting fees and, some other fees that go along with it. So the rest of it, though, does go to things like this. Like, we have a new mixer, we have a headphone amp, now we have new headsets and microphones, and it just helps make the show better. So thank you so much to each and every one of our Patreons for making this possible. Our show is going to be so much more listenable as we move into the future. I'm so excited about this. I didn't think I'd be this excited, to be honest with you. When you were like, "We're getting these headphones," and I was like, "Okay."
I know I had to drag you a little bit along the way, and I had to revisit it a couple times.
You did,
too, so.
You did. I dragged my feet on this, but I'm really enjoying it so far. Yeah, thank you.
If you want to be a part of Patreon, you can always find it on our website, certainpov.com. You can find all of our podcasts there as well, certainpov.com. Let's get right into it. So this is the week of Infinity War. So we're going to have a couple Marvel stories, and we got one other story. Then we're going to talk about some TV as well. So unfortunately, not only do we have to wait a while until learning the title of Avengers 4, but Kevin Feige has now confirmed that there's over a year to go until Marvel's Phase 4 plans become clear. He said at a press junket this past weekend, "We won't do anything until after this time next year. After that, I think we'll announce where we're going. But we did a very big announcement in 2014 where we announced a lot of movies, and we added a few movies to it after that announcement. But it really felt important that we deliver on that before we do a big showcase of whatever is to come." While unfortunately this makes sense, and when Feige was asked to elaborate on why the studio is sitting out of this year's Comic-Con, he indicated that it could be next July when various upcoming titles and sequels are revealed by Disney and Marvel. Feige also said that's one of the main reasons we're not going to Hall H this year is because Ant-Man and the Wasp will have just been released, Infinity War will be out, Captain Marvel will have just finished filming, and Spider-Man will have just started filming. And we're not going to be making any other announcements. So we're going to wait until Comic-Con of next year, so 2019.
Buy your tickets now. Because that announcement's going to be ridiculous.
It's going to be insane.
So, we're recording this on Monday. We are days away from Infinity War coming out. We're 4 days away from Infinity War.
I'm getting antsy. I don't know which of the three movies of May, or I guess this is April for
it's
Infinity
a May movie,
War, but it's a May movie. Yeah. I don't know which one I'm more excited about. It's just when I think about each one, is I get more excited about that one at the moment.
Yeah. But as we head into Infinity War, this movie is already outsold pre-sales on every other Marvel movie, including Black Panther.
Yes.
This is going to be their biggest movie ever.
Yeah.
I mean, this movie is going to be massive, massive, massive.
Yeah.
And I know there's already a large group of or vocal contingency that are already planning on shitting on it in Rotten Tomatoes and all that stuff, right?
Yeah,
the DC fanboys who are upset and the alt-right, which is ridiculous. I'm so excited for this movie. I mean, it is going to be so big. It is so smart though to hedge your bets because lots of times this could go bad. We could be giantly disappointed in how this all resolves.
Yeah, I'm hoping this is not Dark Knight Rises.
Right, exactly. Where we're like, oh my God, I waited a decade for this payoff? This is the worst. I have 20 films in and it sucks? Are you kidding me? It has that potential. This is a real high wire act because nobody's ever done anything like this.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think it's just so much because nobody's done this. It's just the end of a story is always challenging to wrap up. I mean, the third entry in a trilogy is often the one that's scrutinized highly. It's it delivers on so many expectations that you've built up over two other movies. So in this case, you have a decade's worth of movies that have all kind of, interweaved and contributed to it. I think it's. I mean,
we got to know what happens to Hawkeye. If I don't get a satisfying resolution of what happens to Clint, this movie's just gonna suck for me.
Well, I know we keep on talking about a Deadpool for this movie.
I wish we had done it. It's too late to do it
I
now.
know, it's too
I wish
late.
we had done it.
Well, who do you think are the guaranteed deaths? Who are your top
Iron Man.
3?
Iron Man, Captain America.
Okay, when I say deaths here, will not be in Avengers 4.
Iron Man.
But we already know Robert Downey Jr. is in 4. Like, he's been filming.
All right.
Well, I guess
you didn't know that. I didn't know that. Clearly, you're paying a lot more attention to the rumors and stuff like that than I am. My money is on Vision.
Okay.
Cap.
Yeah.
I would have guessed Iron Man, but probably not now that I think about it, because he's got to be alive for the Vision quest to see it all come to fruition.
Right.
And Drax.
I think it's going to be a little bit more minor. I think Drax is up there. I think Loki is absolutely.
Yeah. Loki's definitely going to die.
Loki is for sure dead.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
That's a good one.
I think Iron Man. See, Iron Man and Cap are tough because I feel like it's got to be one or the other, and the other goes in 4. If I had to bet, I'm gonna say. See, I don't know, because I hear that both Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans are in 4, but who knows in what capacity?
Right.
You know?
Right. Because there's almost assuredly some sort of time travel that's going to be involved in this in some way.
Multiverse dimensional travel.
There's going to be some kind of chicanery here that brings everybody back together for the second movie. I wouldn't be surprised if everybody dies at the end of this movie.
See, and that's what I think too. I think everybody dies, but then
there's some sort of Yeah,
but then I think we'll have real deaths though in 4, one way or the other. Nebula, I do think, is going to go out in this one, and not in 4.
Do you think Gamora will go?
If she does, it'll be in 4, not in 3.
Okay.
Because I imagine I mean, who knows what James Gunn who he's gonna have to work with in Guardians 3, but we know we're gonna get a Guardians 3.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't expect the whole crew to be there. I definitely think Nebula and Drax are gonna be gone by the time we get to Guardians 3, and maybe this idea of coping with loss of this newfound family is gonna be part of. Thematically part of that story.
Okay.
So, but how many people do you take out of that? I think Gamora. I think taking Gamora out takes the romantic interest out. So I don't think. I think
because you could never find another pretty actress for Star-Lord to fall in love with.
Fair enough. But I think Star-Lord and Gamora getting some closure. To their Sam and Diane, as he referred to it as, is something that, I think there's some, I don't think they're going to kill everyone that Star-Lord has ever truly loved.
Well, no, but I mean, you think about it in Sam and Diane in that case.
Once they got them together.
They broke them apart. They didn't last.
Yeah.
That didn't work.
Yeah, that's true.
So that could be foreshadowing of what's to come for their relationship.
Yeah,
that could have been James Gunn planting that seed all along of oh no, this we know that Gamora's going to die, so it's kind of a doomed.
He is talking about an increased role for Rocket in 3 as well. So
fantastic. I mean, a romantic interest in Rocket would be really, really progressive.
You think? No, I didn't mean that. I thought Rocket as more of the lead.
Oh. It's wow, Addy.
Yeah, no, we were going into bestiality with Guardians 3.
This is a whole Beauty and the Beast
Jungle
thing.
Boogie is the opening track. Yeah, so we're going to move on from that. If you're a Marvel fan weighing the odds on what the secret title of Avengers 4 will be, you might want to stop. According to Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige, the mystery is now creating an anticipation that the real title won't be able to match. He said during the press junket this past weekend, it's gotten entirely out of hand, and now we have no chance of living up to any expectations of what it's going to be.
I like that.
I like that he came ahead of it, because people are Annihilation, Secret Wars, Secret Avengers.
Right.
They're I've seen so many crazy things out there, and it's just I'm kind of thinking Infinity Gauntlet is more likely, rather than War and then Gauntlet. I don't know. Well, who knows?
I think Secret Wars is probably likely, but whatever.
Because of the Fox deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's entirely possible. So it was originally billed as Infinity War Part 2 a few years ago, and then it was later confirmed that Avengers 4 would have another title, although Marvel wasn't ready to divulge what it was. Feige said, it sort of backfired, if I'm honest with you, because the notion was to not talk about it, so the focus was supposed to be on Infinity War. But, of course, the mystery has had fans theorizing
Well, then
about
announce it, like,
Yeah.
right? Like, why don't you announce it? Because it is it is still spoilery.
Yeah, there's
right?
the spoilery part of it, and then the Russo brothers also said that you should be kind of scared for what the title is. So there's hype, So
Still
it's,
involved,
yeah.
but too much hype.
Exactly.
Damn you, internet.
Marvel Studios has plans for Moonknight, but there's no definitive timeline for when the project might begin development. Fans have long lobbied for Mark Spector's Vigilante to join the Netflix corner of the MCU.
Yes.
But while Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige didn't offer any details, he did acknowledge Moonknight is in the cards. When asked by Screen Rant if Moonknight's story is indeed in motion, Feige replied, yes, does that mean 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now? There are stacks of character cards that we have in our development offices, which we look at, which we pulled for him, and which we discussed. So there's nebulous plans out there somewhere for it.
Yeah, that's a
you might get
non-answer.
You might get it before you die. Like,
if I'm lucky.
Yeah.
If I pray I live long enough to be able to see that come to fruition. That's such a cool character. I think it would be a cool character in that Netflix universe. I suspect that they're probably a little hesitant. Well, they've already said they're not doing any new characters
for Netflix.
For Netflix,
so it would have
right?
to be on the direct to Disney streaming platform.
Right, and so they're probably waiting to see, like, okay, what does that look like? What kind of content can we do? How do we want it to feel? Who's going to be in that universe? How are we going to build that universe? Are the Netflix characters going to be transferred over there eventually? Like, how does that work? So it raised that deal is complicated, to say the least, because if you're not doing any new characters, does that mean you're just going to let stuff die there, recast, and start over with those and move those characters? Like, does Netflix have rights to Daredevil, Punisher, and all those guys in perpetuity?
I don't think so. I think it's just a deal with.
Can Marvel use them on other platforms?
I wouldn't be surprised if they could. I don't see any reason why not.
It's usually pretty exclusive when you lock up stuff like that.
Yeah, but the deal was originally just for one season of each show and then Defenders. Like, they've already gotten past.
Sure, but that doesn't mean that. Yeah, but it depends on how that deal was.
That's
it's
true.
like, yeah, but you can get these for these one seasons or whatever.
Yeah.
And we won't use them on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and we won't use them in the
Sure.
movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's the question. I'd be curious to see, like, what the rule is as far as the use of characters, because I would love to see him interacting in New York City. That's where he's based.
Yeah.
But you really kind of need, like, Daredevil and Cage and Punisher and stuff like that, even a Spider-Man to work around with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the hashtag show has come across some new details on Marvel's plans for the Lethal Avengers solo outing, and it looks like the studio intends to wind the clock back to before Scarlett Johansson's character made her MCU debut in Iron Man 2. According to the report, it says the film will find Natasha living in the United States 15 years after the fall of the Soviet Union, and that timeline places the film in about the mid-2000s, meaning we'll meet up with Nat prior to the events of Iron Man 2. The time frame opens up plenty of options, and while many fans seem to want Black Widow and Hawkeye teaming up for their Budapest adventures, we've been told that early discussions about the film involve Sebastian Stan's Winter Soldier. Bucky and Widow have plenty of history together in the comics, which could be well worth exploring, and we know that the pair did cross each other in the MCU back when the Winter Soldier was in full-on Hydra assassin mode. Black Widow will be written by Jack Schaefer, and though no director is attached, this is also they have also discovered that Thor Ragnarok's Brad Winderbaum is on board as an executive producer.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Great pairing. Great time.
I like the idea of them going back in time for this one as well.
Is Scarlett Johansson going to reprise her role?
I mean, I'm sure. I mean, like, it's only like a couple years before Iron Man 2, so it's, yeah, I mean, why not?
Okay.
Like, what?
I think,
You think it doesn't, like, it doesn't
It's
seem
been a decade.
Yes, but, yes. But it's not like the Han Solo period where you can go that much younger.
Right, where you totally have to recast her. She can still play early 20s.
Yeah, Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I mean, like, okay, if you were going
Look,
for
Scarlett
teenage...
Johansson's one of the most beautiful women
Yeah.
on earth. No doubt about it. This is not like, oh, she's way, she's past her prime or whatever.
Yeah.
But she doesn't look like she's in her early 20s anymore.
No, not at all.
And that's not shaming her or shitting on her in any way. I'm just saying she's not 20.
Yeah.
Like, I'm curious to see how they do that.
Yeah.
And play that off.
So prepare for high adrenaline stakes as DreamWorks Animation TV prepares to bring an animated series based on the Fast and Furious franchise to Netflix.
God damn it.
So Universal Pictures Street Racing franchise has brought in the big bucks since 2001, but now ahead of the release of the 9th and 10th movies. A partnership between DreamWorks Animation and Netflix will see the car capers brought to life on the streaming service. Receiving a straight-to-series order, Fast and Furious will focus on Tony Toretto, the younger cousin of Vin Diesel's Dom from the live-action movies. Tony and his teen friends are recruited to a government organization hell-bent on infiltrating a dangerous league of street racers being used as a front for crime.
Uh-huh. Sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that the plot of every single Fast and Furious movie?
Is it?
J-Bud confirms yes, I'm right.
I mean, I don't know.
I've only seen 2 of them.
I've only seen 2 of them. I've seen the original and
that
5.
And that was the exact plot of both of them that I've seen.
I heard there was a pivot somewhere in there.
There's an Asian one somewhere, right?
Well, yeah.
But that's the same thing where it's like, oh, they're just doing it to get into the Yakuza.
Tokyo Drift happened, but that was like...
Tokyo Drift. Yeah, you're not on microphone,
Yeah.
Mike. It doesn't really help. Never mind.
Yeah.
Point is,
We'll move on.
none of us want to see this.
Yeah, but apparently one of the Voltron series showrunners is actually going to be a showrunner for this. So
As long as he doesn't leave Voltron,
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
care
okay
what he
with
does
that.
in his part-time. More power to him to
Yeah.
make another check as long as he continues to do his excellent work in Voltron.
I'm all for more animated series on Netflix.
This isn't one of them that
Yeah.
I'm interested in. This is just I know there's people who love this series. It's just not one that I'm particularly fond of.
Yep. Well, let's go ahead and get into our TV reviews from
Okay.
the past week. So, Supergirl, we had a new episode that came back from hiatus. I totally forgot where we were in that story. So, one of the characters is the son of the Superman villain, Toyman, and Toyman just died. And then there's like a series of stuff going, like Toyman had a lover apparently who's now trying to kill Toyman's son. So there's like all this weird. Yeah, I was just like I don't know what's. I
That
don't
last
even know.
sentence was so confusing.
I know exactly. That's how I was just like, eh. I mean, fortunately, it's a character, so it's their tech guy for Supergirl, so it's
Okay.
their Felicity, their Cisco, basically. And so he's a fun character.
Yeah.
So it was all right,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, it was weird, like Toyman is one of the. I don't know if I'd say better Superman villains, but it actually works for TV fairly well.
Sure.
So there was some like cool, like some fun gimmicks. There was flying robot monkeys in this episode, which was like in my sort of in my hangover from Legends, I sort of enjoyed that. But yeah, this is I'm actually looking forward to wrapping up all these seasons of the DC TV universe.
Yeah, the CW shows. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
I'm at my end point where I'm like, I'm ready for this season to be over.
exactly.
And
For
move
everything but Black Lightning, really, to be
Yeah,
honest. So,
yeah.
Speaking of the CW TV universe, Arrow, I don't know how close we are to the end,
It
but
feels like it's got to be close, right?
it has to be, right? Like, but you know what? This was the first episode. Like, I had it on and I couldn't look away.
Oh, wow.
I was surprised, but it was because there was so little Oliver in the episode
Oh.
and so little Team Arrow. Like, there were a
Sorry,
couple
Stephen Amell.
and it's not like it's just there's a lot of retreading with those stories, but they got into the backstory for the villain. And again, like I've liked all season long, like I've liked the nature of the villains for the
Okay.
season because they're getting back to the crime and mob families and mob bosses instead of supernatural or the League of Assassins. And the League of Assassins is fine in the Arrowverse. It was just needed to wait a little bit. Like this,
they rushed that. Yeah.
Yeah, the current season would have been a great season 3 or 4, I think. Honestly, maybe 4 to be perfectly honest. But Diaz is the mob boss who's in control right now and sort of getting Star City back under his control and has sort of like completely handicapped what Oliver can do, and Oliver is like completely operating on his own. There's nobody, even Felicity's not helping him anymore. He has decided to go completely solo, which we'll see how long that lasts, obviously, because
No, he was dead once too.
Right. I will, and we also got like sort of like a bigger crime empire that has a little bit more control, like little bit more say in the world, and so there was like some cool elements that they were building into it, but it was nice to see the backstory for this villain, but it is also a testament to just how kind of tired the protagonists are, and that we need to move Arrow, like we need to move Oliver to just like the periphery of someone else's story. As opposed to being the feature of the story in my opinion. So,
do you think they've done everything they can with that character?
I think so. Like they went so far.
Well, then that feels like the show's over, then, right? Like that's like, the name it's the name of your show, right?
Yeah, but like
that's
move
your
to the periphery of moving with like the Flash or Legends or someone,
Yeah, but your show's over then. Yeah, man. There's nothing else to tell. Like you're not going to pay Stephen and Mel to have like bit parts. Like you're paying that guy.
That's true.
The King's ransom. To be able to be in that show.
Yeah.
Like it's done then, right?
Yeah.
I feel like it's done. I feel it's done. If that's all they have to say of the character and they don't have an arc left to tell and to move him somewhere interesting. And it's just, constantly like, is he going to be with Felicity or not? Then you've run out of ideas.
Well, it's not even like they've gotten, at least they've gotten past that, but like, is he going to be the lone wolf again? Which has always been a thing for him.
Right.
So.
Yeah. That's again. Yeah. They're just going back and retelling the same story again.
Right.
And you're perpetually caught in the second act.
Yeah. So we also had a new episode of The Flash. You did get a chance to see this one.
Yes.
So they faced off with the Thinker.
Yep.
And we lost a member of Team Flash, which...
Ralph, yeah.
I actually kind of enjoyed the fact that he died. But not because they wanted me to, but because...
because I didn't like that character enough?
Yeah.
I was starting to like him.
Oh, really?
I was actually starting to like I was liking his arc, and I was liking the fact that he was he was something different in Team Flash. Everybody was like has found a niche and was in sync with Team Flash.
That's true.
And he wasn't. And he was always out of sync, and he challenged Barry in good ways, I think. Because, whatever Barry says, everybody's like, hopey-dopey-do, okay.
Yeah.
Because Barry's always right. Like, that's my one criticism about The Flash is that he has no flaws.
So do you think Barry is right to not kill the Thinker? Do you think that they have to kill the Thinker?
No, probably not. They probably don't have to kill the Thinker, but I don't think that it should automatically be taken off of the table. I think, like if you get the opportunity, sure. Like, I don't know that you have to go in like, okay, this is the plan, but if the opportunity presents itself, absolutely killing the Thinker. But I feel like right now, like they're just kind of thinning the herd. Like they got rid of the episode before they got rid of that ancillary character, Cisco's soon-to-be father-in-law. They got rid of him, and he retired from fighting.
Well, he was a guest star. Like that was his second appearance on the show.
Yeah, I know, but like they're just like I feel like they're thinning the herd. They're like, okay, we have too many moving parts here. And they're using the Thinker story to kind of like weed it all down.
Sure.
And I'm okay with that. And Arrow had this problem too.
Yeah.
You were saying that they just had too many people on Team Arrow, and it was like I don't,
right.
What am I here for? And I feel that way too. I'm disappointed that they haven't really followed through on the promise with Candace, what's her name's character?
Candace Patton?
Yeah, Candace Patton's character. Yeah, Iris, that she's still running Team Flash and not blogging. Like, I really was hoping.
Oh, I was assuming she was still going to continue running Team Flash, but she was going to blog on the side.
Oh, I was really hoping like that was going to kind of like
they were gonna
move her.
Oh, God, no.
I was really hoping because I don't like her running the team.
Yeah,
it just doesn't make sense. It makes
yeah.
no damn sense.
It really doesn't. Yeah. There are a lot of unqualified people. running around Star Labs.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah. Well, it's also weird because, the Flash, Barry is is also a smart scientist, but this is always even weird in the comics as well, and in animation as well. But he's a forensic scientist, not like
a science scientist.
Yeah, like quantum mechanics, whatever. Like that realm always felt weird.
He understands blood splatter.
Yeah, like it always felt weird when like they push him into that kind of realm for science.
Yeah.
But I mean, like even from the very beginning of the show, the concept of him was like he was always interested in that kind of stuff to begin with. He was that much of a science nerd. So, I don't know. It's tough because everyone is a super scientist on that show, so it kind of devalues like who's
the super
really,
scientist.
Yeah.
The Wells and the Siskos, and then Killer Frost's alter ego, whatever her name is.
Yeah,
Caitlin. Like Caitlin. Yeah, everybody's a goddamn scientist, except for the cop and the blogger.
Yeah. And I'm okay. Like Joe makes sense. Like as a tactician,
as a cop, like hunting down leads and stuff like that. I actually think he should have a bigger role. Yeah. He's the one who should be leading the team on how to stop criminals.
Idea, yeah.
Like he's the one who has experience with. Okay, this is what a criminal.
Wait, you don't think an investigative journalist has the wherewithal?
Not that investigative. Like she doesn't have any experience. Like she
had like a year. Yeah. When she was working for a paper. Yeah.
Yeah, and she was like an intern or whatever. Yeah. Like she wasn't even great.
That's why I liked Patty so much.
Patty was the best.
Yeah.
I miss Patty. They need to bring her back. They need to do another Flashpoint and go back with Patty and get rid of Iris.
Oh, that's hard because I love Candace Patton.
I do too. She's a fantastic actress. Yeah. I think she's great, and I think she does a great Iris. I just don't think it makes any damn sense.
Yeah. That's a weird position to be in. Well, let's come back to this episode for a moment. So, obviously Ralph is now the guy who is the thinker, and it made sense to solve the thinker's problems with being able to contain all these different consciousnesses and powers.
And his body rotting. Yeah.
Exactly. So. It makes him a little bit more intimidating. I do like that. Like I like this episode on paper. It was
execution didn't do much for me.
Yeah.
I was fairly bored with it. Fairly like obviously this is a ploy. This is a trick.
And we're gonna lose a guy here.
Yeah.
So everything
was really super script, like really telegraphed. Even Wells using the dark matter.
Yeah.
Super telegraphed, and
do you think we're gonna have Wells be a villain next season? Does that
It feels like it, but I would be disappointed if they did.
Come back to Wells as the villain again.
Yeah. You've gone to that Wells too many times.
That's my out. So when we got Black Lightning, we had the finale. I loved it. You messaged me while you were watching it that the soundtrack was just fire.
The soundtrack is fire.
It really is.
The soundtrack is fire.
It was so good.
It's Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah.
Literally. It's so good.
Yeah.
This was a cool episode, man. This was a great season finale. Like, I felt like they went all out and we're like, all right, here we go.
You got a satisfying ending for a major arc.
Mm-hmm.
And Tobias is
a badass.
Scary as hell and set up for more
Poor
shenanigans.
Lala. I feel so bad for Lala.
He got blown up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that felt like a long way to go for that. But is he... Well, I guess he's not dead totally.
Who knows?
That's what I wasn't sure of.
Death in this world, man, is real confusing right now. I'm not sure who's dead, who's coming back, and who's not, and how.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really unclear as to, like, how some of this stuff is happening.
Right.
Like, how did he bring Lala back?
Yeah, and he did talk more about, like, the tattoos.
The tattoos
were
going to haunt
him. So it feels like he's going to be back.
We're going to see Lala again. I don't know how.
So. Yeah.
I don't know how, but we'll see Lala again.
Yeah. Then we had a new episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So we had the death of Ruby Hill.
Yeah.
She becomes Gravitron.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're just getting close.
Just wrapping this thing up.
Yeah. So did we have any other major? Yo-Yo was the one who sort of kills her.
Yeah.
And I guess
quote unquote saves the world, and everybody's like, "Yeah, I'll buy it."
Yeah, it doesn't feel. Yeah, I don't think it feel saved yet.
I don't think he did that. I think he just killed a girl.
And then of course it feels like I guess the big thing that's going to be happening. So what I don't know if this episode is the next episode is the finale or if it's the one after.
It's gotta be timed with Infinity War somehow, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So this obviously what I want to know is, does this lead into Infinity War or does this come out of Infinity War? Because I mean, obviously I'm not waiting. Like we're gonna see.
We're seeing it
Thursday.
Thursday night. Yeah, it's just game on.
Like at least with Winter Soldier, like we did get to see Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and then Winter Soldier and then the following episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So we had that timing work out well, but we didn't go see.
Who knows?
Soldier
They may
night.
have completely abandoned It's All Connected because they haven't been saying anything about It's All Connected anymore. They may have abandoned it.
They've been still talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's still promotion out there. Yeah.
Not like they were.
Yeah, but you're just so.
I'm so burnt.
Yeah, you're so burnt on it that you're just like, it's not really connected.
It's not. Sons of bitches. They lied to me. 18 years, 18 movies. I've been watching this thing, and it's not connected. They lied. It's all a lie.
So then we've got Legion, third episode of the second season. Man,
God damn it, the show is good.
This is easily one of the best shows on TV right now.
If you're not watching Legion, if you haven't seen season 1 of Legion, I implore you to turn this podcast off, and I won't say that often. But go.
We're still going to talk about Westworld, guys.
So
there's another really cool show to talk
There's
about.
another great show that you need to turn off this podcast for. These two shows are just some of the best TV making that you'll see.
And before you turn us off, certainpov.com.
Tell your friends.
Just in case.
Rate, subscribe, and review. Go watch the show. It's so good. It's so smart. I know. I've seen a couple people who are like, "Oh, this show's just too dumb, too weird. I didn't get it." And
that's fine.
That's fine. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. I get that. But
if you want something that's out there, trippy, and makes you doubt what is reality,
and question like, oh my god, what is the plot? Like, where is this going?
Yeah.
What are the actual characters' motivations?
You have to be okay with uncertainty and unpredictability. And I think if you're the kind of person who doesn't like crazy plot twists, like. So if you don't,
if you're into Law and Order, this show is not for you.
Yes, but so the crowd that is not crazy about crazy subverted expectations, which is I'm the person who gravitates towards that.
Yes,
which is why I'm such an Iron Man 3 fan, which is why I love The Last Jedi so much.
Yeah,
and I'm noticing a good crossover of people who don't like people. It seems like people don't. Yes, there's plenty of crossover for people who do like each of those movies,
but there seems to be a contingent that is the one common thing they have. Like that's the
they don't
one.
like subverted expectations. Yeah. If you feel betrayed by where
you ruined my
going,
childhood kind of idea.
Or even if you feel betrayed, even if you don't feel like your childhood is ruined, but if you feel like you got invested in a certain path and it goes another way and it feels insulting to you, that's fine. Like I can see where some people feel like their intelligence is insulted with something like that. Legion might not be for you in that sense. So
because this thing is going to go all over the.
It goes.
Well, that's the thing. Like you have a real hard time with this show having expectations.
Yes.
That's the thing that I like most about this show. Like at the end of every episode, I go, I don't know what's going to happen next episode.
Well. Here's the thing, because last season we did this more last season where we had a lot of like crazy predictions of what's what and who's who.
Yeah.
You had predictions that Oliver is Xavier,
right,
and Emma Frost, is
analog,
Bird,
yeah,
they
were analogs, yeah.
So I mean, but there's and some of that still may be proven to be right, but there's certain predictions that we've had that are also have already been proven wrong.
Right. Most of them.
Yeah, most of them for both of us. I don't think I've had a single prediction that's right with the show, to be perfectly honest. I will say if you get attached to your predictions,
you're fucked.
Yes. So expectation is it's fine to have expectations, but if you get so attached to them, Legion is not the show for you. I'm telling all the people who shouldn't watch the show. I'm just like, I just want to explain, you know what, stay away from it.
This one's not for you. This one's not for you. But for those of you who do dig that kind of thing and are looking for a smart, really masterfully crafted television show, just from a production standpoint,
and if you also want to look at sort of the depth of ideas and the layers of production that go into something like this
and storytelling,
this is an incredible
series. It's a masterclass.
I realized I could so I have a tendency when I'm at work to and sometimes even when I'm at home we're mixing something, I'll only have one ear on my headphones and the other one will be just right behind my other ear. So you're
really only listening in one ear,
right.
That way you can interact with the world around you.
Exactly. I found myself while I was watching this, I needed, like, I would hear something off on that other channel that wasn't in the other, and that was actually pretty important,
Mm-hmm.
that I was missing out on story and atmosphere and all of that, and I would need to, like, cover, make sure I was listening to both ear cups.
The show demands you to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
And if you do not, you're lost very quickly.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Very quickly. You lose the narrative of what's happening and who's doing what and why. Very quickly. Like the first episode, I mean, you kind of you watch the very first episode of this season, like not paying full attention, and you totally missed the time travel aspect of it.
Right. Oh yeah, completely. I had to watch that episode 3 times because I was just not in the right frame of mind to watch the show.
Yeah.
But now, like, all right, I'm glad I watched that first episode 3 times, to be perfectly honest, because by the time I got to the third, now I feel like I'm back in the Legion frame of mind to really enjoy that sort of mind-bending and sort of like crazy out there show. Like we said it last week. You said it last week. John Hamm's VO for the like sort of examining different like real world mental illnesses or psychosis or sort of the idea of disease and mentally manifested diseases was such a fascinating open for this episode, and really like sort of the idea of the power of the mind and all of that, like, and reality was just absolutely fascinating and really sets the tone and the mood and everything just in the right space.
Yeah.
For a show like this. So there's a lot of really cool stuff that this show does that nobody does. Like, is it Noah Frawley? I don't remember is the name of the showrunner. Yeah, but absolutely amazing. Yeah. I've been meaning to watch Fargo because I've heard nothing but amazing.
It's just as good. It's just as good. I didn't love the second season as much as the first season. I'm waiting to see the third season for it to come on a streaming service near me. But so far I've loved the first 2 seasons of that show too. It's just as good. It's it's hard to stop watching it.
Yeah,
it's that good.
So speaking of also amazing shows, Westworld is finally back.
Thank you.
It felt so long.
Tiny baby Jesus. Oh, I've missed you. I've missed you so much.
So good. And this was like what, an hour and a half?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like 15 minutes, an hour and 15 minutes.
It was an hour 15. Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
Woo!
Lot going on.
Yeah.
Here's what I like about this episode is that it's morally ambiguous.
Yes.
It's real unclear as to who the hero is, who we're supposed to be cheering for.
I don't think I feel the same way that I felt about season 1. I didn't feel like anyone was a hero or a villain.
Which is weird because like we're kind of following the story of Dolores and her coming to sentience and becoming her own individual, realized, for lack of a better word, person.
Sure.
Right? But it's also like her fall into evil in that process.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like that they're not making it like, well, she's a person now and she's on the side of right and because she's fully realized she's doing good.
Yeah, I don't know if Dolores, I mean, while Dolores' story is definitely important, I didn't feel her story framed as much of this episode, at least.
Right.
But it's an interesting observation that you mentioned there. It's almost like her becoming more human is sort of a recreation of the creation myth. Like now the knowledge of good and evil
has led her
now
straight to
has
evil.
the possibility of evil and to do wrong things.
Right.
So like that, I didn't realize that until you pointed that out right now, which I think is such a fascinating space to navigate. And with Jonathan Nolan, like these kind of stories and these kind of ideals, if you like, Person of Interest had great, like, sort of, more on the AI side of things,
right,
and also on sort of consciousness as well and morality as well, and what to do with that kind of thing. Like that kind of like morality questions is what's great about this show, and expanding out the Michael Crichton story and the movie out into this bigger narrative, because now we're able to delve into all these different characters, and it's not just a simple like, abusing AI type story, but now like Bernard is so fascinating. Like, you're able to really get into depth with a character like him, and that this episode, like, there wasn't as much of the time travel play until maybe a little bit later in the episode.
Maybe.
Yeah, right.
Maybe it's I mean, it's unclear.
A little clearer than it was in season 1.
Yes.
Because once we got the reveal of who the Man in Black was, in season 1. Like
Right.
that's when they kind of did a better job of establishing the timelines. Now we still don't know what has repeated and what hasn't in this world, but like now we're getting a better idea of like Delos, and we're starting to get a little bit better idea of what Delos and their role with all of this is, and even the geography of the park a little bit more. We know like this is an island.
Yeah.
You know, we know the other parks are going to be a little bit more involved.
And that they're
season.
Yeah, we definitely know that because we saw the tiger,
and we also in the trailer we also saw
what was previously Samurai World, but they're not calling it Samurai World. They're
right.
calling it, I forget what they're calling it, but yeah,
Shogun World,
or something like that. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean like all sorts of like some really cool stuff across the board with sort of like the corporate aspect, but definitely really focusing in on sort of this idea of now having sentience and now having morality and how that's affecting all these different characters and their attachments and the different things that they feel capable of.
So we followed a lot of Maeve this episode and what was happening with her. Here's my question about Maeve. Do you think she has sentience yet? Do you think she has sentience yet, or do you think she's still on a program that this is what she's like, this is what he programmed her to do? Because in the end of last season, she's in the final episode of last season, she's talking to Bernard right before like she makes her goes to make her escape to the train.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm my own woman now, and he's like, no, you're not. This is a program. See, it's called Escape. And you're supposed to gather people, and you're supposed to gather allies, and then you're supposed to be here. And she gets angry at him and breaks the tablet that he's holding that's showing her the program.
Right.
Now, the question is, was she really supposed to escape, or did she break the program and come back for the child?
I think she broke the program.
You think she's fully realized?
I don't think she's fully realized. I don't think there's as simple as fully realized. Like coming back to a theme I love to talk about in free will versus predestination.
Okay.
I think there is sort of a mix of both. I was reading the Last Jedi novelization today on the train home, and there's sort of an interesting sort of commentary on the idea of predetermination and sort of the cosmic will of the Force and being an instrument of this bigger will, while still maintaining this idea, this free will, that both are possible, but predestination isn't. Like giving yourself completely up to it. Like there's a fine line between that idea of completely giving yourself up to something and lacking identity versus free will, but also giving like the things that you're programmed to do, things that you do because you're part of a society, because you're part of something bigger than that's just yourself. So I do think, and this is where I think William comes into play a little bit, because he has wanted this, and him creating that moment of trauma for Maeve is what sort of set some of this stuff, not necessarily in motion, but planted the seeds for this, because his actions to her when she, like, her brutally killing her when she was still, when she still had a child and was out living in the
homesteader,
plains,
right?
Right, at the homestead, is sort of the remnants of that somehow still exist in her consciousness, and that's what's not supposed to exist. So you have this sort of competing idea.
Except for that is what's supposed to exist, because that's what the reveries were hid, was the implanted memories. It allowed them to hold those memories.
That's true, but the reveries are also a programming nuance that Ford wanted to sort of set these events into motion.
Right, because it allowed them to hold memory. Without
right.
memory, they can't learn and they can't change. They're trapped in their program.
Well, so what do you think of Ford sort of as a godlike figure and setting this into motion, like knowing he was going to be killed and creating the new game essentially, like moving out from this old system of AI and now into a new game for what he created to now have an opportunity to have life.
Well, I watched the final episode of season 1 leading right into this new episode, and the thing that struck me the most about that is that as he's doing the reveal and the explanation of, here's my last story, I'm retiring, he's telling the audience, he's like, I've been writing all these stories for you in hopes that it would change you. But what I realized is that you're incapable of changing. The ones who are changing is actually the AI.
Right.
And the AI is now my hope for the future. And he's kind of abandoning humanity and just saying, whatever happens to you guys, you've earned it.
Yeah.
You've earned every awful thing that's about to happen to you. And my hope is for the future is that the AI will continue to learn and develop and grow and be better than you, which is, from a like a spiritual aspect, like that's. I feel okay with that. I think that we, like, realistically, as we are on the verge of creating realistic AI for humanity, that it is a real threat. I think that it's something that, a lot of people are wrestling with, and I'm certainly not smart enough to have any kind of good answer for, right? Like,
right.
I mean, if Elon Musk says, like, we have a 5% chance of surviving artificial intelligence and that it's unleashing a demon into the world, he might be right. He might be right. And that's kind of what this story is telling. Like, it's unclear with this AI that they've created, like, what their mental capacity is.
Yeah.
Like, do they have average intelligence or do they have superhuman intelligence? If they only have average intelligence, like if they have like the same basic computing power as the human mind, I don't think this is going to go, like, this is just going to be a war in perpetuity. Like, it's going to be a stalemate.
Yeah.
And probably humanity would win because it has the numbers.
Right. And a little bit more knowledge of the bigger world.
Right. You can just drop a bomb on as long as you contain it to the island, you can always just drop a nuclear bomb and solve the problem.
Right.
Although
it looks like Dolores and Bernard make it out into the
real world at some point. Who knows which world?
Like
well, there's future world, so they could just be in future world.
I didn't think about the future.
See, there's so many different places they can go. Like, we haven't seen in the park that I'm not sure where this is going to go. Yeah, this is going to get really trippy because it's gonna play with, like, do they, like, are they on the island? Are they off the island? Where are they in time in the island? Like that's getting back to what we originally started talking with, how great this show is. The potential storytelling for this season is going to be really interesting, depending on where they go in the park. Do they get out of the park? Do they even need to get out of the park? Probably not. They can probably tell 3 seasons of great stories without ever leaving the park.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's really curious to me how the park works because, like, it's clear that Ford spent at least a lot of time in Westworld.
Right.
What relationship does he have with the other parks on the island?
Right.
Like, who's developing those worlds? Who's telling those stories? Who's been overseeing that?
I assume
and how do they interact? Like,
right.
that's my, because nobody is, like, the new guy who was being groomed to take Ford's place as a storyteller that Maeve is now chucking around with.
Yeah.
Like, he never mentioned, like, writing stories for any of the other parks before. And Ford, like, always dressed like he was in Westworld and never talked about any of the other parks.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
No, and like, and when you look at the park, like when you looked like at the park, like they were always looking at like Westworld.
Right.
They never really looked at any of the other parks. It's like they run individually.
Right, completely independently of each other.
Yeah. So that's going to be interesting to see, like,
how the
Here's my question. So here's the thing.
Yeah.
That might be a fun, trippy thing to do, and here's what I would do. And this is my speculation of the week, is that there's going to be a Ford in every single park.
Oh, that's crazy.
And that Ford has been an android all this time.
I don't know how I feel about that one. Like, what I want to know is what's the point?
I think like you could say, like, okay, enough to, like, there was an original Ford, and this was his end game, but he wasn't going to live long enough for it to happen.
Sure.
And so in order to do so, he created these life model decoys to run the parks in his side and kind of downloaded his consciousness a la a Jesus figure.
Well, so are you saying the Westworld Ford is an android?
Yeah.
But we saw the maggots.
It's Westworld. What does that mean?
Well,
everything on that everything was dead there.
Yeah, but you do see a difference with
we've never seen the androids lay around long because somebody always comes and picks them up.
This past episode we saw some android corpses.
But who knows at what time?
Oh yeah,
I
guess you're right.
Like it's real. Because when we saw him come and get Ford, we were way in the future.
That's right.
We're in the future at that point because Bernard is with
and
Delos.
everyone who's dead there are people.
Yeah.
So that's why there were flies and everything like that.
We assume.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That was where they had
the attack, right? That's where it initially goes. Oh, in the town. I don't. It's an idea. It would be an idea. Like otherwise, how are you manipulating all of these parks to have the same bugs and problems?
True.
Unless you have a Robert Ford in every single one of those parks doing the same thing and inserting the programming that allows that to happen.
Right. Unless you have a Bernard at each park. So
possibly, yeah. So that's possible. So you could have like multiple Bernard. Yeah, you gotta have somebody. You have to have an android somewhere high up in the food chain that. Yeah. But then you would know that like when they came to they'd be like, all right, well Bernard's a robot.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so you don't think they would have done the same with Ford?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're gonna find out.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna find out, or we won't. Who knows?
Well, let us know what you think of any of these episodes, any of the news stories we talked about. We've only got a couple days to Infinity War, and we are so excited. Next time we come to you, we will definitely be talking, sort of some of the.
We got to talk about that because there's like a big don't make spoilers thing going online, and I kind of want to honor that.
That's true. Well, we'll do a spoiler episode, a separate episode for Infinity War, so you know that there'll be spoilers contained there.
Yeah.
Our show moving forward, we won't put any Infinity War spoilers. In the next.
Yeah, I just want to honor that for people for a couple weeks, give you a chance to see it.
Exactly.
But still be able to keep up with everything else that's going on in nerd news.
Yeah, and you can keep up with all of that on our website, certainpov.com. All of our podcasts are there. Another Pass, Fun and Games with Matt and Jeff, the Scruffy Nerf Herders, and of course, Certain Point of View. It's all there, certainpov.com. And until next time, stay scruffy, my Nerf Herders.